Meow. Say hi. What? Say hi. Okay.
Hello, Hi-Fri fam. How's it going? Hope everybody's having a great week. Alright, so I'm a little late on this one, but I just wanted to take a look at the CVJ Freedom. This was sent in for review by CVJ. So just wanted to give them a shout out and say thank you very much, guys. I really do appreciate it. I know I've been kind of lagging on the reviews a little bit. I've had a lot of crazy stuff happening recently. We had a hurricane, popped both my bike tires. Work's been nuts. Freaking people been getting sick. I got sick. Um, anyway, I've been doing side work on my days off, so I have not had any time to do anything. So, I would like to get this review out. So, anyway, so CVJ Freedom, this came out probably a little over a month ago. It's a 1DD 4BA. It features a really cool dynamic driver. I'm not sure the material. It just looks cool, but I don't think the material is probably that fancy in reality, like in all, in real life. But it looks cool. So most likely it's, a sheet of foil embossed with some mylar or something. But it looks really cool. So, and it sounds pretty good too. So, anyways, we'll get into that. But yeah, so I wanted to review this, and then I also wanted to do a small comparison to the CVJ May because this is kind of around the time that CVJ kind of turned around their tuning a little bit. I know they've had a lot of releases. They're kind of getting with the likes of TRN and KZ, where they're just pumping out IMs like crazy. But anyway, they've been doing pretty good, pretty well. So I wanted to take a look at these, kind of talk about the design and the build a little bit in comparison with the CVJ May, and tell you guys if I think it's worth it or not. Obviously, my opinions are subjective. So take it with a grain of salt. If you like my review, I would definitely recommend going out and seeking other reviews, just to confirm your bias, whether or not you think you'll like it or not. Everybody knows the audiophile community, or the audiophile hobby in general, is a very difficult hobby to kind of um, get into, like when you're purchasing things, because uh, you know through the medium of YouTube you can see things visually. You can see all the crap on my desk, but it's much harder to convey sound. So and then that doesn't even take into account people's changes or differences in not perception, but in their tastes and stuff. Because everybody has different tastes. People like certain things. It's a very subjective hobby. So anyway, so yeah, so what I might like, you might not like. Vice versa. For instance, the last KZ I am not the last one, but the KZ Krilla, I reviewed it. I didn't like it. Um, I just didn't like it at all. But there were a lot of people that said, I really like it. I think it's good. Da 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 da. I know there's some accusations of bots and stuff. Recently, Delta Fire came out with a piece saying that, I guess, Hidiz is perhaps using some bots on Reddit to promote sales. Um, I can believe it. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's feasible. I can believe that kind of thing, just because the chi-fi market, or the chi-fi scene, the earphone scene in general, is very competitive, and everybody's blasting out earphones like crazy. Because believe it or not, not not for the most part, but generally, the margins are pretty high. So a lot of these companies are making decent money. Now, when you get into these more budget IMs, that's not the case. But I know of many IMs that people are producing that they're making hundreds of dollars per unit, on every earphone sold, and it's just a matter of getting the tuning right, and then they can just, it's like a money printer, you know. And that's the sad, unfortunate truth. This hobby is very walled off as far as acquiring the skills and technology um, to develop this kind of thing and tune this kind of thing. But if you know where to look, you can seek it out. There are obviously a lot of smart people, very resourceful people that have found a lot of this information on their own. You know, so anyway, but yeah, so a lot of the companies, I mean, they're really competing for every dollar right now, and you know that's fine. May the best man win. So, but this is one of CVJ's recent entries, and so they dropped the Knowles. That's the first thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. So the May had the Knowles driver, which is a 33518. It's Knowles' cheapest balanced armature, but it's very good. It's a treble BA, but I don't think the Knowles balanced armature is really meant for free air, and I'll kind of try to explain that later. But anyway, but yeah, so it's using a Knowles, and then it's using the customized. Now in this setup in the May, I think that the customized balanced armature sounds better than the Knowles. For the free air kind of way that it's set up, I think the customized balanced armature sounds way better. And the customized balanced armature is an e-audio. For anybody that doesn't know, I'm always talking about e-audio and how I think they make pretty good balanced armatures. At least the majority of them are pretty good. With every company, some balanced armature models are better than others. It just depends. But there are, and I'm not going to say who exactly, but there are certain companies out there that make total or like really expensive IMs using some e-audio balanced armatures, and there's nothing wrong with that because the sound quality is there. But yeah, it just goes to show, you know, then you have companies like KZ that use the same exact balanced armatures, and the results are different. So it just depends on how they're tuned, how it's designed. A lot of this is very fickle. There's a lot that goes into it. I'm kind of finding that out myself because as I work on prototypes here, I have another project that I'm about to release where I'll sell a few units of an IM. But anyway, so CVJ, the May, it's really good. It's a good IM, but it had one Knowles and one e-audio. This time, for the Freedom, I believe they are all e-audio. There is no mention of Knowles anywhere. So I think they just dropped the Knowles altogether. But that also brings the price down because these would have been quite a bit more expensive as each pair of Knowles is, you know, twice, probably more than twice the cost of the e-audio brand. So with that all being said, now that we're almost 10 minutes into the video, let's get into the unboxing. Now the cable, well, real quick, so we'll just look at the May really quickly. So the May was about $60. I think it was like $59 when it was released. And these were the accessories that you got with it. And I just kind of wanted to show you guys so we can compare to the Freedom, and we can kind of see where CVJ has taken it. So we had this really gaudy cable. I hated the cable. I mentioned it in my videos, and I think CVJ heard that, and I think they listened because there's no longer this crappy cable. This is probably one of the worst budget cables I've used in a long time. Then you got a little leather bag. Nothing wrong with this. This is fine. And then you got some ear tips and a cleaning brush. So nothing wrong with that. The cable was the thing that I took the most umbrage with, or the most, you know, the thing that I liked the least. But those were the accessories that you got with the CVJ May. Now let's take a look at the Freedom. Alright, so the first thing you'll notice is the Freedom box is about double the width of the May. Alright, then we have our switch configuration on the back here. There's a little sleeve, you just remove the sleeve. It's actually kind of a nice little box. We have this little paper here, and then underneath are the earphones, and Auditory Revolution moves at will, so that's their slogan. Pull the box out, or the inner packaging, and then we have, now this is the black version, okay? So we have the earphones. Kind of nice design, looks cool. Inside's plastic. The construction itself is nothing special. I think KZ IMs are constructed a little nicer, but these, there's nothing wrong with these. These are still pretty nice. They have metal face plates, but this is the green version. So they come in green and black. I prefer the green version just because you can see the drivers a little easier. So you can see the dynamic driver in there. It's kind of hard to see, but there are 2 balanced armatures at the base, and then there are 2 inside the nozzle, and then the rest of it is just free air, and then the switches. So that's the green version. Black version looks really cool. And then we have nothing else in here. So this is it for the top of the box. So you're thinking, oh, it's double width. Where's the rest of the stuff? Well, we have a little drawer right here. So a little pull-out drawer, and I'll show you guys the cable and stuff here in just a second. Oh, and just to let you guys know, I will be giving these away as part of my 5K subscribers. So I have lots of IMs to give away. I have the Con, I have the Nami, we'll review that too. I have a bunch. I have the Orchestra Light. It just keeps going and going and going. I have a bunch. Anyway, I have the Moondrop Land. So anyway, so there are a bunch of IMs that I will be giving away as soon as we hit 5K. So tell your friends. If you know anybody, subscribe. If you have alt accounts, subscribe on your alt accounts. And we will get started with the 5K giveaway. So it'll be 5 different earphones. A couple of them will be my own creations. So you can choose from the Aphex, or I have a planar. Not everybody will be able to choose, so there are only so many that I have on hand. And the first picked winner will get their choice. Whatever they don't want, the next winner will get to pick their choice, and so forth. So it'll just keep going down the list until we run out. So these are the accessories that you get with the Freedom, and you can already see that they're much, much more improved. I forget the name of this cable, but this is CVJ's modular cable. Okay, it's actually a really nice cable. Well, it's a nice cable. It's not really nice, but it's a nice cable. It's definitely better than the stock cable that they had before. Still not a big fan of the straight ear hooks. I wish they were kind of curved a little bit. I like the earphone cables that have this little curvature in them just because they hug the ear a little tighter. But this is nice. There's nothing wrong with this. We do have a functional chin cinch. However, it is quite a bit tight. So it is definitely a little bit tight. So just be aware of that. You might feel like you're going to break the wires. I probably wouldn't use it too often. There's a little bug in here. And then the connector itself. So this is pretty much like TRN's connector, except these are probably a little more durable. So there's 5 pins instead of 4. And the barrel is a little bit bigger. So yeah, so basically you just find the indent. You line it up with this little dash or this little line here, and then you can snap on your connectors. And it comes with 4.4, 3.5, and 2.5, and you get all of that with the stock earphones. And then as far as tips go, we have a couple different tips. I think just three pairs of silicone. Yeah, and that's pretty much all we get. And then we get the little switch in the bag. So the cable itself is decent. I would say, it's probably $15, maybe $20 cable. So not bad. We'll get into the Nami. The Nami is a little bit different. It includes the same cable, but it does not include the 2.5 and the 4.4. I talked to CVJ because initially they did not have the extra terminals on their webpage, but they do now. So the Freedom includes all of these, but the Nami doesn't. The Nami just includes the cable. So just keep that in mind when we go to review that IM. So anyway, so that's what you get. This is everything you get. You get the earphones, cable, bag, and 3 sets of ear tips. Decent case. It is quite a bit of packaging. I would have liked to see a little bit less packaging, but it's not bad. You know, it's representative for the price you pay. So okay, so I'm gonna just put all this in here. It's kind of tight fitting um, in this little like accessory pouch there, so you gotta kind of push that in. And now let's take a look at the specs real quick. So we have, and I'm not sure if this is correct. It could be, but I don't think it. I don't know. I don't know if it is. I think it's different. Anyway, we'll get into that in a minute because the tuning's strange. But it's supposedly 1DD 1BA, 1DD 2BA, 1DD 3BA, 1DD 4BA. But they're realistically on this IEM, there are only two different tunings. There are four slightly different timbres. So there is a little bit different timbre between each tuning. But in all reality, this IM only has two different tuning modes. And that is the difference between switch 1 and switch 2. That's why I think that each switch controls 2BA. And I think this might be a typo. Or just misleading marketing, but I don't know. I'm not. We'll get into that when we take them apart. But yeah. But it says 1DD 1BA, 1DD 2BA. So 1DD 1BA is with both switches down, and then 1DD 2BA is second switch down. 1DD 3BA is first switch down, and then 1DD 4BA is both switches up. So I don't know. But anyway, so that's that. Again, just take a look at these real quick. So they have this little wing here. The wing's not too bad. I don't think it would be an issue for anybody. They're not very big. They're decently shallow. They're a little deeper than the May, but the Mays are pretty shallow. So I mean, these are, you know, they fit very flush in the ear, so you could probably sleep with these. And then again, we have those two switches. And let me see real quick. Yeah, so they flip them so they're both the same size, I think, right? Yeah. Yeah, so unlike the one KZs that we were looking at the other day, if you pull these out of your ear, the switches both face the same way. So you won't have any issues. At least I think, right? I don't know, I could be wrong. I'll have to look at it later, but anyway, yeah. So when you pull them out of your ears and you go to adjust the switches, there shouldn't be any issue because the switches both face the same direction when you pull them out of your ear. So shouldn't make for a complicated adjustment. All right, so that being said, I will be right back. All right, so you guys know the drill. So I got my Xiaomi Poco X3 NFC running through my Hi-Dis S3 Pro, S9 Pro, I don't know, S3 Pro. Anyway, so I got that through this beautiful, also dirty Canara cable. So this is a cable that Canara sent me. So anyway, so this is my listening setup for these IMs, and I will also be using my go-to favorite tips, the TRN T-tips. So so Poco X3, the Hi-Dis S3 Pro, Canara cable. I'm not sure what kind of conductor the cable is, but anyway, it's a nice cable. And I'm using the TRN T-tips. Now, just for reference, to kind of show you guys, this is what I'm coming from. So this is my current daily driver. This is the Fat Frequency Maestro Mini. I've been listening to these the past few days. So this is going to affect my bias moving towards this IM. These are very balanced. I wouldn't really call them a palate cleanser, but they're balanced. Not quite neutral, but we'll get into these later. But anyway, this is what I'm coming from. So just keep that in mind. These are what my ears have been conditioned to the last few days of listening. And I will be going to the CVJ Freedom. So this is my difference in listening. But this is what we'll be using. As for the track of the day, So this will be our test track. This is Pretty Impossible by Caroline Polachek. This is a song that I've been listening to a lot on a lot of various IMs. I like her music and I like her voice. So it's just a song that's like in the front of my playlist, and I've been listening to it quite a bit. So I'm familiar with the technicalities in the song. I've heard a lot of different IMs with it, so we're gonna give this one the run through too. So this will be our test track for today. All right, guys, I'm back. Uh, so let me just put it this way: I am a much bigger fan of the CVJ May than I am of the CVJ Freedom. I'm not really a big fan of the CVJ Freedom, to be honest. There's a few things that are wrong with it. It has some cool characteristics. Well, I wouldn't really. I don't know. It's got some things going for it, and then it's got some major disadvantages. So let's get into the pros first. Okay. Bass quality is decent. It's not bad, but it's got some boom to it. It's got a little bit of boominess going on, and it's got a little bit of mud. That's kind of detracts from the overall bass quality. The bass is very authoritative. It's definitely there. It's loud. It's proud. These are very V-shaped, very fun sounding. Huge elevated upper treble. So if you're into like treble air or like really detailed stuff, you might like these. But anyway, but the bass, the overall quality is average, a little on the weak sauce side. It's got a lot of bass, so if you're a bass head, you might like these. The sub bass isn't the issue. The sub bass doesn't. It sounds fine. It's not the fastest, most technical bass I've heard, but the mid bass is an issue. The mid bass definitely has a good amount of boom to it. It's just not very detailed, and yeah, it's not great. So mid bass not great. The mids are a mixed bag. So the lower mids are decent. They're nothing too wrong with the lower mids. I actually kind of like the lower mids on these. But there's a big. The upper mids kind of do this like roller coaster thing, and nothing too wrong with that. There are a lot of IMs that are tuned that have like peaks and valleys and stuff. But this, and I'll show you in a second, because the May is actually somewhat similar to these, but it's less exaggerated in my opinion because the rest of the mids kind of fill out a little better. But you're missing a lot of information in the 5 to 6K region. There's a big dip, and it just doesn't sound right. It's so you're gonna the technicalities on these aren't gonna be very good. They'll be okay, but it's not. You're not really getting technicalities. You're getting detail. It's kind of hard to explain the difference between the two, but there is definitely a difference between the two, between like resolution and detail. So, for example, the treble is super energetic. It does have decent resolution from the BAs. There is definitely a little bit of treble glare going on. and there's a little bit of like shimmery kind of, you know, BA timbre and stuff going on in there too. So it's not great. It's okay. It's manageable. It's not harsh really. It kind of just pushes on the limits of being harsh. But it's for the most part it's pretty inoffensive as far as the treble goes. Um, but the mids, so everything's decent from uh I don't know, going from the bass. The curve could be a little bit deeper, but that's fine. Like I said, the lower mids, everything's fine. There's a little bit of mid bass bleed, but the lower mids are fine. The once you get up into the vocal area, so the 1K to 2K, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But once you pass that 2K, it instead of continuing to elevate, it takes another direction and kind of goes down, and then there's like a secondary peak, and then it shoots down, and there's a big dip. So it's kind of wonky. The mids are very disconnected, the upper mids to the lower mids. It sounds like you're listening to like a bass boost, or not a bass boost, a loudness button. It's like somebody hit the loudness button and just cranked it to 11. So tons of bass, tons of treble, not much going on in the middle. Lower mids are decent. They could probably be boosted up a little bit and pull out some of that mid bass. But yeah, but the upper mids, it's just it's not very good. What else was I gonna say about the mids? There's like masking going on, so you're missing out on a lot of detail. There's a lot of things there that you're not hearing, and the treble's just hitting you in the face, the upper treble. So it's like a lose-lose. But overall, they're not the worst I've heard. Most people, especially if you're into like huge V shape, would probably enjoy these. If you want a fun, energetic signature, if you really like treble and you want that treble energy, you'll definitely get it out of these. These are super, super detailed when it comes to the upper treble, and there's actually decent resolution in the upper treble area because of the balanced armatures. But other than that, the rest of it is kind of a hodgepodge. It's not very cohesive at all. Especially now, granted, it's not a fair comparison going from from these to those. But the setup is pretty much the same. I'm using YouTube music, which is compressed. But anyway, but yeah, so as far as the tonal grade, I'm gonna have to give these like a C minus. Tonal grade's not very good. Technical grade, I'll probably give them a C. So they do a little bit better in the technical department, but that's mostly because of the treble and just because you're hearing that raw balanced armature sound. But the bass isn't very technical. I'd say the most technical portion that doesn't have to do with the balanced armatures is the lower mids, but the rest of it is kind of a wash. The imaging is not very good because the drivers just kind of overlapping. It seems like they're fighting for your attention. So it seems like there's a lot of like phase issues and stuff going on. So the imaging and the stage is just not great. It's got a decent amount of width to it, but there's not really any depth. It's really compressed, really squished sounding. A lot of that has to do with the big boomy bass. Oh shoot. But anyway, so yeah, so overall grade, I don't know. For the price, I think they're like 70, 80 bucks. For the overall price, from like on a scale of like 1 to 10, I'm gonna say they're like a 4, maybe a 5. Unfortunately, these just do not do it for me. I have high hopes for CVJ. Now and we'll get into it later, but the Nami is a little bit better. It's also a little more affordable. It's still not great as far as the price goes. So some people are asking 60 bucks for these, which is absolutely ridiculous. But the sale price on these is like 30 bucks, and including the cable, that's definitely a little better. I just wish they would have included the adapters. But we'll do a full. I think we'll do a full review on the Nami. But yeah, the Nami fares a little bit better than the Freedom does. The Freedom just needed a little more time in the oven. I don't think the Freedom supplants the May. The May definitely has a lot more going for it in terms of audio quality. First off, the mids are much more even. Now, it's not really representative in the graph, and I'll show you guys the graph. But something about the May's character is a lot more pleasant than the Freedom. So sad to say. I do feel bad, but that is my opinion of the CVJ Freedom. It just doesn't really do it for me. Overall value, I'm going to give it like a 4 or 5 out of 10. And like I said, in terms of technicalities, I'm going to give it a grade of like C minus. In tonality, C minus. In technicalities, it's like a C. But yeah, so anyway, so that's the end of the review. But I will do a teardown for you guys because I'm sure you guys want to see inside the IMs. So let's do a teardown of these because I want to show you the really cool looking drivers inside. All right. So I'm going to use my typical whack method where you find the seam. So anybody that was watching, oh shoot, I don't have it on me. I don't have my whacking tool, so I'm going to use these wire strippers. Oh yeah, this is my go-to method for opening IMs. Here, let me zoom out a little bit, kind of get in there for you guys and show you. So we have the little switch network here. There's a couple posts that kind of hold it in place, and then just a little bit of glue around it. Nice attention to detail with the heat shrink tubes to keep the wires from touching. And then we have the wires here for the balanced armatures. A few different wires. Now, this is part of the reason why I think CVJ, at least with some of their IMs, haven't done the greatest with the tuning, and with the switches and all that, because they're using the capacitors on the back of the driver. You can't really change the values of those. Once they're set, they're set. So it would be nice to see them use something different. Just keep the driver, the back of the driver bare with the terminals, and then it would be nice for them to put an actual PCB, like an actual PCB frequency divider, and use that instead, because that would give them more freedom with tuning. This is hard to control because you have to work with the factory producing the drivers, whatever value capacitor that you spec out ahead of time, you're kind of stuck with afterwards. So if you want to make any changes, it's impossible to make any changes unless the factory you're working with allows you to make any changes. But yeah, as far as the 1BA, 2BA, 3BA, 4BA thing going on here, I'm not exactly sure because there's a lot of wires in here and I'm looking through a camera lens. I'll confirm it for myself with the other unit because I need to take it apart for Facebook. But yeah, so essentially, yeah, 2 wires in, 2 wires out. I'm not sure where the wires are going. It looks like they're coming out of one part of the dynamic driver and then going back into another part. But yeah, interesting. Let me see if I can pull this connector out. There we go. So yeah, overall build quality is decent. The solder could be a little bit better. That's a little shoddy. It's not great, but it's not bad. At least the solder joints are solid. There's no cold solder joints or anything like that, so that's fine. There's nothing really wrong with that. Yeah, I don't see anything. All the solder joints look pretty decent. So yeah, it doesn't look too bad to me. But anyway, let's take this apart. Oh shoot, I don't even have fuck. That's right, I don't even have the tool to take this crap apart. I'm sorry guys, I'm stuck with these because I don't have my side cutters. My side cutters are on a job site right now. Shoot. Oh well. All right, so this is the nozzle. These are the treble BA. All right, let's take a needle. Boom. And there are our treble BA. And then I'm just going to try to push them through. I'm honestly surprised they didn't use a 31736 because that would have been easier to wire up and load inside the thing. But I guess no, it doesn't. Yeah, because then they couldn't control them independently. So yeah, I guess they do need two independent balance armatures. But yeah, so anyway, so there's our E-audio. Most likely 30095. This is not the black gold drivers like we saw in the SIO or whatever it's called, the Kanoka. So this is different. The Kanoka has the black gold balanced armatures. These are just the average, typical E-audio balanced armatures. And then we can just see our driver in there. And then we got our two balanced armatures here. And then let me try to get a little further into this without destroying it. Luckily, these plastics are not crazy hard. Some plastic is like really, really hard. This plastic is actually kind of soft for the most part. Alright. Let me see if I can get something flat in here. Might have to open this up some more. Trying to be careful. There we go. So yeah, the driver is like a translucent. I think that's just some kind of color changing plastic on top. It's really kind of gimmicky. It's not any kind of like nano coating or anything like that. At least I don't think it is. I think it's just like the same stuff you'd have on like a vehicle wrap or whatever. There we go. But I could be wrong. I don't know. Either way, the dynamic driver sounds okay. CVJ's drivers with all these like materials that they've been putting on them sound pretty slow. It's not necessarily a bad thing, because they have a decent amount of decay, which tends to kind of have a bigger impact like auditorially, as far as like dynamics and stuff. But yeah, they're not very resolving. Like you need at least a little bit of speed when it comes to attack and decay. But yeah, it's not bad. It's not a bad looking driver. I'm sure they're not cheap because that's custom. Nobody else has a driver like that. So I'd be very curious to find out what material that is. Do I personally think it's anything fancy? No, but I could be proven wrong. I think more or less it might just be more of a kind of a gimmick thing than anything, but okay, so these are all right, so these right here, let me show you guys something real quick. So if you look at this driver, it's kind of hard to show you guys because it's really hard to see, but I've been working with e-audio drivers for so long that I know this anywhere. So on this edge here, see how it's gray, like it's just the metal? And then same thing with this edge on the other side. It's just metal, okay? So metal on both sides. Now you have a little bit of red there from the lead, but that's bare metal, and that's bare metal. So this is a like a 30095. Now looking at these, it's kind of hard to see, but you see how there's a little line of red there. See how there's just a little bit of red. I don't know if you can see it on this one too. It might be in the middle because they're probably they might be facing the same way, so it might be like in the middle of the drivers. So I just want to show you guys. Yeah, so it's in the middle. So it's kind of hard to see. But so you have a little line of red on that top one. And you have just a little line of red on the top of the other one. So these are 50060s. So these are e-audio 50060s. These are like mid-range BAs. They kind of do like more upper mids. I use these same exact balanced armatures in my OnePlus 3. So I use a 29689, 50060 because they mesh perfectly. The 50060 fills in the gaps of the 29689 perfectly. And so you get really good coverage. And then I add in the treble BA, the 33518, because where the 29689 and the 50060 tail off, the 33518 can take over and go all the way to the end of the graph. But yeah, so this is like an upper mid to treble kind of BA. It's like an in-betweener, so it's not quite a 30095, but yeah. So these are like a upper mid BA, which is kind of cool. But yeah, so the two in the nozzle are pure treble BA, and the ones in the body are like more mid-range BA than treble BA. Let me see if I can get them out without destroying them. These are kind of tough to get out. Oh, it might even say it on there. It looks like there's more text on this one. Here we go. Oh shoot, the top fell off of it. Yeah, look at that. 50060 HVEK 50060, and you can see that little, you can see it a lot better now, but that little red line right there, that's how you know the 50060s from the 30095s. And this has been something that I have known for a long time because I've dealt with a lot of these. Come on. Yeah, anyway, you already get the gist. But yeah, it's 50060, and then you can just barely, the glue's kind of covering it. But yeah, you can see better there, that red line kind of on the PCB. It's like on the PCB and the can. It's like in between the two. So that's how you can tell the difference between E-Audio's treble BA. Okay. So you see there's no coloring. And then red coloring. Okay. So that's your little fact of the day. And that's the same for all companies. TRN, CVJ, all of them. You know, they're all using the same, KZ. They're all using the same E-Audio BA. And E-Audio makes actually quite a few. The full name is like Shenzhen E-Audio Electronics Corp or something limited. But anyway, they offer a few different models of balanced armature, but the two big ones are because they're cheap, are the 30095 and the 50060. And then all the other ones, the 29689, 22955, 30029, 31736, 31587, or whatever. Anyway, there's a whole bunch. But anyway, guys, so this is your review and teardown. I know I'm ranting now, but this is your review and your teardown of the CVJ Freedom. I do apologize. I wish I could give this a better recommendation, but I don't know. I think this is a step back from the CVJ May. I do think the CVJ May is a better sounding IM. Also, a little bit better quality as far as the build quality goes. There's nothing wrong with the plastic and the metal faceplate, but they just feel a little more substantial because they're all metal. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Thanks again, guys, for joining me. Like I said, 5K giveaway. I'll have a bunch of different IMs to be given away, so make sure you tell your friends, let them know to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.